Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. I'm Rob Eisenbach, one of the mentors here at NextGenChef. I'm a consumer products marketer who's been in the CPG industry for over 15 years now. I've launched and built brands across a variety of industries, including food, sustainable products, and health and wellness. My firm, Iron River, helps purpose-driven companies implement brand and marketing strategies that bring their mission and their values to life in a way that really resonates with their consumers. It's a real passion of mine, and so I've aligned my own personal purpose of improving the lives and health of people and planet with my own consultancy. This is part of the Next Generation Chef Lunch and Learn series. Next Gen Chef is a global network of food entrepreneurs, experts, and mentors building the future of food. As a platform, Next Gen Chef creates community and provides educational workshops, panel discussions, and one-on-one mentoring, and also networking opportunities. Today we have Laura Murray, all the way from Ireland. Laura is the founder and social media strategist for Berry and Wolf, a social media consultancy. And Laura, take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, you've pretty much covered it there. I've basically been working in food marketing for the past seven years or so. My background is in food, and then this basically past year I set up my own company, kind of combining my love for food and marketing. So I get to do both of them, and that's what I really enjoy. So I work with a lot of food startups, like newly launched companies, people who are just getting their feet on the ground. And then what we usually end up doing is help building their marketing strategy together. And a lot of that usually involves social media and written content creation. So I'm going to pause for 2 seconds to let somebody in the room.
No problem. I'd love to know, while you're getting people in the room, what you were doing before you switched over to food marketing. What kind of stuff were you doing in the food industry?
Yeah, so I kind of marketing was always a little bit of a part of all of my roles, I guess. But you know, when you go to set up your own company, I literally made a list of like, what am I good at and what do I enjoy? And marketing was always part of each of those roles. So most of my career I was with the Irish Food Board. So they have offices all over the world. They have one in New York and Chicago, I think, as well. So I was working in their Madrid office in Spain for a few years, basically helping Irish food and beverage companies export to international markets. So that involves the whole process basically of like market research and just advisory and consultancy in helping them move and get set up. So that was a large part of it. And then other pieces, then I was working for a food subscription box in Barcelona for a while. That was fun. There was a lot of samples. And then so I just decided to kind of start on my own to have a bit more flexibility in location and who I'm working with, and just kind of work closer with entrepreneurs and companies in the food industry. And yeah, so that's brought me here.
Fantastic. What do you see among the startups that you work with by way of social media? Are they leveraging it a lot? Are they just putting a toe in the water? I'd love to just get a sense of the breadth that you see and maybe share some best class examples of how they're really taking advantage of it, especially the ones that are doing it perhaps better than others.
Yeah, I think so. Most of the companies that I end up working with have never touched social media. It's usually like a 1 or 2 person company, like a partnership, or someone that's just started, themselves and are trying to figure it out. Kind of like what you were saying earlier, Lexi, you're just bootstrapping it, you're figuring it out as you go. That's usually the type of person that I've kind of ended up working with naturally. So for them, they are starting from scratch. Like they only know that they should be on social, but they don't know where to start, what to do, how much is too much, those kind of questions. So it's very much brought back to basics. But it's a very kind of underutilized platform, I think, by startups, because I think there's the expectation that you have to have a marketing team behind you to do it properly, whereas what most people are valuing these days is when the founder or when the owner or when the actual team are kind of front and center, and you can talk directly with those people. You know, you're not just talking to a bot or somebody that's in social media that doesn't have any relationship with the founder. So it's kind of more going towards like closeness and authenticity and kind of closer relationships, I guess.
Nice.
I think people realize when they start off that, you know, you can say, hey, this is just me, like, hi, like you're talking with the founder. And I think that's appreciated a little bit more as well.
That's fantastic. I love that. Taking a bit of a step back, are you seeing COVID as a major change force in social media generally, or how people are using it, or what's changed since before March that you've seen?
Yeah. So I think when kind of March and April hit, a lot of what I saw was just radio silence, I think, plainly because people didn't have a clue what to say or what to do. They didn't know, should they mention COVID? You know, was it like a dirty word at the start? Nobody knew what to say or what to write about. So I think you were in like one of a few different categories. You were either trying to go on as normal, which ended up standing out like a sore thumb, because if you were just still trying to sell your products while the whole world was on fire, essentially, it didn't really look too well. So the people who were scared of coming across like that just went radio silent. So, you know, if you go back and look at some companies' Instagram pages or Facebook pages, you'll see, if you go back to like March and April, you'll see their last post is probably something like, oh, we're closing for the foreseeable future, like this is it. And then the next post is, oh, hey, we're opening again. Like there was nothing in the middle there. So hindsight's a great thing. I think if there was a second lockdown or something similar, I think we would be able to know to use the time to spend the time engaging with customers and seeing if they're all right and adapting our services to suit the changing lifestyles. But it's obviously in hindsight. At the time, you know, I don't think anything would have been changed because nobody really knew what to do. So, yeah.
There's so much uncertainty. We didn't know what was going to happen. And it was hard to really see the big picture back then at all.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how has it evolved now that we've been kind of in these uncertain times for like 6 months now?
Yeah, I think it's been a good chance for a lot of people to move out of their comfort zone a little bit, because a lot of companies were forced into the digital world, especially in the food industry. So like there was a lot of, you know, like restaurants that would have just had people coming into their restaurant and then that was it. You know, they were basing themselves, their marketing off referrals and word of mouth and, you know, flyers and things like that. Whereas when things closed, they were kind of forced into deliveries and takeout options, and that involved talking with people online. So I think if there had to be a bright side, it would probably be to show people that you're a bit more resilient, even in your company, than you probably thought you were before. And there are other opportunities to be creative with the services. Even if you think you're primarily an in-person service, there's always a way that you can adapt. And I think that's what a lot of people find out about themselves and their companies.
Yeah, that's an exceptional point. I think for many companies who have taken advantage of the situation, you know, and it's really a matter of survival, really, is how has the world changed, and how can we show up in a way that still serves our consumers and meeting them where they are.
Exactly.
And, you know, hopefully there's a win-win there.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, it's still uncertain. Like, you know, we're just making it up as we go along, but there is no playbook or, you know, guidelines for how to deal with a company or how to deal with a brand in the middle of a crisis. Like nobody knows what they're doing. So if anyone tells you they do, they're lying.
Yeah.
Very much trial and error. Sorry?
Don't give away all my secrets.
Yeah, I know. I'm probably shooting myself in the foot there by saying that, but yeah, nobody knows.
Awesome. Well, before we dive into your presentation, I want to invite everyone who's joined us to ask questions in the chat, or feel free to save those for after the presentation as well. But we want to encourage everyone to engage with this topic. It's super important. take advantage of this time today to really get the answers that you need to the questions that you have. And with that, do you want to kick us off again with your content presentation?
I can do. I'm just going to share my screen, so this might be a bit messy. Also, to anybody who's adverse to a lot of tabs open, you're not going to like this.
Nice.
Okay, so let's go here. Where is it? Okay, I am here. Can you see that, Rob?
We saw it initially, and then I think it disappeared. So maybe try hitting share screen again.
Can you can't see anything right now, right?
I just see everyone's smiling faces.
Then I did something wrong. Screen. Better?
Perfect.
Present. So I'm just doing this directly on Canva, which is one of my tips. Canva is going to be talked about so much in this, or at least mentioned a lot in this presentation. I'm just in love with it. Yeah, so to all the people that just kind of entered in, I was admitting you into the room. I'm Laura. We have like a little bit of an introduction at the start, but as Rob said, like any questions at all, just kind of put your hand up, virtual hand up. I can't see the screens anymore. I can only see what's my presentation. So if there is anything, even just unmute yourself and ask the question out loud as well. That's not a problem. I don't mind that.
And I'll monitor the chat as well, Laura, so you can
Perfect.
Focus on the content. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, there's some new people coming in as well. Okay, so perfect. So this was basically the third part in a 3-part series, obviously, to be able to go through like the structure of a post and the breakdown of a post. And the idea kind of came up from the very start because it's a question that I get a lot, and I see a lot when starting to work with people, just in how like your ideas for content or for posts might be fantastic, but then just the kind of the structure of them and the putting the post out there so that people want to read it can kind of hinder it a little bit sometimes. So I'm going to go through some points on the next few slides. There's only 4 slides, I think, in total. So we're not going to go into too much detail. But yeah, I can see something in the chat there. So I don't know if that's a question.
That's to the audience. It's all good.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, you might let me know then because I can see the notification, but I don't want to go in and out of it. So let's see. Okay, so the first question that comes up all the time is, I don't know how to think of things to write about. And I think, you know, if you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, you might see lots of ads for, you know, 30 days of content or 60 content ideas to get you through the next 2 months or whatever. And the reason for that is because it seems to be such a difficult thing for people to do, but it actually just involves sitting down and making lists of things to talk about. It is as simple as that. I'm a list person, so all of my advice will revolve around lists. So these are just some points where I kind of get some of my ideas for thinking of where to get content ideas or what am I going to write about for next week. So the first one, and I think it's always the one you should start with, are just very simply just to think about what questions your customers ask you. So like if you were to make an FAQ list, or if you get kind of customer service style questions in your DMs or via email, use those exact questions as content points and just respond to them. Because depending on how big your brand is or how much you engage with your customers, there will be so many questions, and you might think that something is very obvious, but nothing is too obvious. There are stupid questions. There will always be somebody that doesn't